Hey, I'm Al Kavadlo, and we're working out. Thanks for listening to my podcast. My guest this week is Adam Frater. Adam Frater runs an online fitness business and is a social media influencer who specializes in calisthenics training. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever else you're listening from. All right, let's go ahead and get into the interview. Adam, how did you decide to start pursuing a career in fitness?
I didn't actually decide that on my own. It was never really a goal of mine. I was working for a software company, and before that, a marketing company here in Los Angeles. And I left the software company, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I actually spent a lot of time focusing and building a business plan around a body lotion company.
Really?
So I was building a body lotion company and an apparel company, and I spent 3 to 4 months with my business partner at the time sourcing raw materials, doing packaging, building business plans, setting up the marketing, doing absolutely everything for that business before this guy, a friend of mine, and he's not a calisthenics guy, shows me an online calisthenics program, which was on Udemy, which is the learning site, Udemy. And it had sold like 3,000 copies for like $30 or so.
Not bad.
So let's call it like $100,000, right? And $100,000 in a year. And I'm thinking, that's, me and my partner, if we make $100,000 and we could each walk away with 50, like there's a salary for a year. I could live off of this and then figure out what else I want to do with my life. So we dropped everything just cold, just completely dropped the body lotion, the apparel, and we started building a program.
So you were already pretty into working out already at that point. You just never considered making that your business?
I had never considered it my business. Now it was just totally a hobby. So I'd go to my marketing job during the day. I'd come home. If it was summer and the sun was out, I'd go hit the beach. If it was the weekend, I'd just spend my whole time on the beach. Calisthenics was just for fun, really.
So at that time, were you aware of a lot of the other calisthenics people out there who had big followings, either on social media or, like you said, people who were selling products, or it was just off your radar until that day?
No, I wouldn't say I was looking at it the same, because I wasn't looking at it like, here's some competition, here's what somebody does good, there's good lead gen, et cetera, et cetera. I was more looking at it like, and this was, I started back when they first introduced video to Instagram. I almost feel like an old man saying that. When was that? Maybe 4 or 5 years ago?
For me, 4 or 5 years ago doesn't feel like very long at all. So everything's relative. I'm like, Instagram's still a new thing. I've been YouTubing for a while.
I know, and I never got into the YouTube game. I've never been big on YouTube. I literally use YouTube for music videos, for music, and like rarely for tutorials, although nowadays I kind of do.
Oh, I saw you had a couple of YouTube videos that had a lot of views. You have a muscle up tutorial that's got like a couple million views on it, don't you?
Yeah, now that I've been in the game, maybe like a couple years ago, I put out a tutorial and just hosted it on YouTube for the sake of hosting. And it went viral, got a few million views. So that was cool, but I just never pursued the YouTube track. But like you asked, as far as Instagram's concerned, like back when they did it, you only had 15 seconds. So the most you could post in terms of like a calisthenics flow or workout was like 3 moves if you could sneak them all in time.
I miss the 15 seconds, Now it's like you got to fill a full minute. Ugh.
Oh, now we have unlimited time with IGTV. It's intense.
I haven't even gotten started with that yet.
No.
Yeah, I'm very, very interested to hear your take on it, because I'm so antiquated. I just started doing this podcast this year, and I'm a little late to the podcast game, but I just follow my curiosities. I've been fortunate enough that I can make a living doing what I'm doing, but I wish that I had the business mindset that you had of going into it first, wanting to start a business, and then, I can do calisthenics, because I was just getting into the fitness industry because I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with my life? It's like, here's something I like. So I'm very interested in your take on it. Continue.
Yeah, it was, that's why I say it was fortunate. When people ask you in life, do you regret doing this or that? If you knew you were going to go in fitness, would you still have gone to college? Would you have still worked at the marketing agency or done this or that? And of course, I'd like to say, no, like I wasted 2 years in the software company that led to nothing, had all these promises that weren't fulfilled and yada, yada, and explain why it was such a bad experience. But the reality was, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have left that job and had the fire under my ass to go figure out how the hell I'm going to make money now, which then led me to doing what I'm doing. And I'm very happy where I am now. So I regret nothing.
Well, that's I agree with you completely. You appreciate what you have so much more when you had to struggle a little bit to get there, and when people have instant success, I feel like they take it for granted. So I'm glad you had that experience.
Yeah, and I think an entrepreneur is some sort of, I read something back in the day that said if you have money when you first start entrepreneurship or when you first start a business, don't pay yourself. Or if you do, pay yourself very little, because if you make enough money to pay yourself a lot, you're going to lose that motivation. You're going to lose that drive.
So what were some of the challenges that you faced earlier on when you decided to start this?
So I had no money coming in. I had already devoted a few months to building this apparel company, this body lotion company. We dropped it all cold, dead in the water. Moved to this program. I had to borrow a camera from a friend. I had to figure out how to produce stuff. I only know how to use my phone to shoot videos for Instagram and stuff.
It's amazing what you could do with just a cell phone nowadays, though, right?
No, it really is. It's crazy, but even still, you don't, if you have a camera, you can just get to that next level. And I'm sure in 3 years, a phone's going to be as good as a camera, and a camera's going to be even better. So
right,
it's to see how it all kind of upgrades.
Right, the
over time.
professional cameras from 10 years ago don't hold up against an iPhone of today.
Isn't that crazy?
It really is.
But yeah, I mean, I guess some challenges were we saw this program on Udemy, and instantly I saw the athletes leading the program, and it was two guys. The main guy that was vocalizing or explaining everything spoke very broken, poor English. Like, he almost had like a thick, like Russian or Eastern European accent. And then the guy demonstrating the movements, I mean, he might have been performing the movements like ergonomically correctly, but he wasn't extraordinarily fit, so he wasn't selling his body. He wasn't like the best athlete.
And you looked at them and you were like, I could fucking do this, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I could do this shit better. Come on. So, so I actually had I had this conversation the other day with my roommate, but when I first made the program, it was not an instant success because we didn't go straight to Udemy and have it compete with this other program that was on there. We said, screw Udemy, which they take a cut and whatever else. Let's go to Thinkific, or let's build it on ClickFunnels, or let's do this. We were trying to jump the gun because we heard all of these amazing, if you're in the marketing game, you've heard how ClickFunnels can be amazing. Sure. If you're into making programs, Thinkific, just another.
I have a ClickFunnel program. It's called Universal Strength. I've done all right with it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with your programs. Most people are using ClickFunnels, but at the time, I don't think we had the right pieces in place to be doing it. So like we kind of did too much. So the first program, it sold and it showed some promise, but it didn't put any money in our pockets. So it wasn't like, oh, now I'm living off of this. So I was still struggling, still trying to do things on the side to make money. And then the second program, kind of the same situation, but it showed a little bit more promise. And this little bit more promise, we could finally start to pay ourselves. So a couple weeks here and there, we drop a couple $100 in our account and start to feel good. Hey, we're doing fitness videos and it's making money. Okay. But it still wasn't enough. And then I ended up parting ways with my partner. He was just a good friend of mine. He wanted to move on to another project. And this is actually funny. This is now maybe 2 years into the online program game. I invested in F45. I opened a gym in London. I moved from LA. I moved to London, got the gym up and running, got the business started, got members in the door. 2 months into the business, I officially did not get my visa to be allowed to stay in London. So I had to leave and I couldn't continue working for the business. And if I couldn't work there, although I'm an owner, I couldn't get paid the salary of someone operating. So I would retain ownership, but I just couldn't get paid. So I still had to figure out how to put money in my pocket.
Back up a second. What made you open a gym out in London? You live in California, right?
Yeah.
Why not open something locally?
So I had a good friend of mine who was very well connected, and he connected me with one of his buddies from hospitality management school. And they both went to like the most premier school in Europe and somewhere in Switzerland. So I knew this guy's like either comes from money or like is on the path to being successful. Now this guy came from a wealthy family, but like wanted to leave his cushy life behind, didn't want the easy route, and instead wanted to be in the fitness industry. So I had a lot of respect for that. And we got put in touch with each other, and we were just talking about opening a gym, maybe calisthenics, maybe this. We were just talking, just communicating. We weren't potentially looking at opening a business. But I'd say a couple months into talking, he mentioned F45. He sent me the business, like the financial deck, and it's a franchise. Don't know if you're familiar with it.
I'm not.
No. So it stands for...
It's a UK franchise or a European franchise?
It's an Australian franchise, actually. It's the fastest growing fitness franchise globally ever.
How about that?
Like more so than CrossFit. If you look at a chart of how CrossFit grew, F5's like up here.
Well, now I finally heard of it, so it must be really big because I'm late to the game on everything.
Where do you live?
I'm in New York, but I'm old and I don't pay attention to things outside of my bubble that much.
I understand that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have heard of it either. But
Well,
it's starting to
old being
pop
a
up out here in
relative thing, though.
California.
I'm older than you, but I interviewed a guy on my last couple episodes ago, who's in his 60s, so he thinks I'm a spring chicken. So it's all relative.
And you can't, if you shave your head, you can't tell. As my
That's
hairline
what I'm
regresses,
hoping.
you might be able to tell my age. So like, if it ever gets bad, I'm going with the
This
bald.
is your future.
Yeah. If I follow any of my grandparents, that's my future.
Keep the beard. They work well together. You got to have hair somewhere.
There you go.
I'm sorry. So tell me more about this London gym and what wound up happening there.
Yeah, so I got connected with this guy. He said he was going to open the business. I looked at the financials and I said, "Wow, looks like a great business. Like, I'd love to get involved. Can I invest?" And I had, enough to be like a 10 or 20% partner, just like in savings. And he said, "Yeah, but if you invest, like, I need someone to help me run this gym. Like, come out to London. Let's get this thing up and going."
So he was the main guy on it, and that's where he was located, and that's why it was London.
He was the main guy. He was in London.
Got it.
I don't think any American or anybody anywhere in the world would be opposed to making a British pound,
Sure.
currency wise.
It's a good
1.4 to the dollar.
good conversion.
Good conversion, that's for sure. So I invested in the business. I moved out to London. I was going through some shit in California, so I was happy to get out of California. Life ups and downs, highs and lows. So it was just a low period. It was a good opportunity. And when I got there, I was working illegally for 2 months, getting the business up and going without a visa. And then when I officially didn't get approved for the visa, like I got rejected the third time, then you have to wait like 6 months to apply again. I'll save this story for another time, but basically my business partner like completely tried to screw me and tried to say that he never signed the shareholders agreement and technically I don't own the company and blah, blah, blah. And then I had to get a lawyer involved and then I had to threaten him. And then push came to shove. Eventually, like he offered to buy me out at a reasonable price. At first, it wasn't a reasonable price. Then it became a reasonable price.
All's well that ends well, I guess, right?
It is, but it led to me doing what I'm doing. So my program hadn't been successful enough to support my life to this point. But then all of this happened, and I was living with the guy when he did all of this. So I'm like, okay, I got to get out of here. This like right now,
that's awkward.
Each other. Right, so awkward. So I booked a one-way flight to Tel Aviv.
Why Tel Aviv? Did you know somebody out there? Or?
No, I didn't know anybody there. I've been there twice before.
Are you Jewish?
Yes, I am.
So do you get to go for free? Is that a thing? If you're Jewish and you want to go to Israel, they fly you over for free? That's a myth.
Quite. If you want to go to Israel and you're Jewish and you've never been, you can sign up for Birthright, which is an organization called Taglit. And they have a lot of Jews that donate money for other Jews to get sent to Israel for free. So I went for free when I was 19. That was my first trip.
All right. So I was not completely off base. Just kind of missed a couple of the key details.
Yeah, it's not like whenever you want to go. It's just free.
Right.
That'd be great. I'm down for that, But I had gone for Birthright. It was amazing. Then I had gone with an ex-girlfriend a few years past, and it was summertime, and I hadn't been there in summertime. And this part, Now, you can keep this in the podcast. I was going to say you might want to remove this one. But no, I had gone with this ex-girlfriend, and she was beautiful, a great girl, but I was just dumbfounded by the women in Tel Aviv. It blew my mind. And I've been to Colombia.
You live in LA, right? There's a lot of beautiful ladies there too, aren't there?
Yeah, but my type is like Latin, big booty, amazing skin, like fit. Like LA's like skinny models, like blondies. Like I'm not into the American look. I like, dark skin hair.
I have a Cuban wife, so I can completely relate.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
and I'm Jewish myself, for the record.
That's why I was confused at your uncertainty about Taglit, but you have it in your voice. I can hear it. I can see the Sephardicness in your beard. I wasn't sure.
I am incredibly ignorant about my own Jewish lineage. So
I mean,
I just
with all those tattoos
I wasn't
sticking out.
really raised in a very strict Jewish thing, and the little bit of Judaism that was in my household I rejected completely. And it wasn't a thing against Judaism, it's just religion in general, especially as a teenager, was very unappealing to me. So yeah, it's just never been a
I
big.
would say you rebelled a little bit, considering you didn't go for one or two tattoos. You went
Yeah,
straight
well,
sleeves, finger tats.
they get addictive. I started with one or two. I didn't jump in with a full sleeve. They add
That's
up.
why I haven't gotten any, because I'm worried it'll be addictive.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. So anyway, after Tel Aviv, you eventually wound up back in the U.S. and you settled in L.A. Is that, or was there other steps in between?
Well, so I was in Tel Aviv about a year ago today, or even a little bit less than a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's like April or May. And I was there I just got there. I checked into a hostel. It was like $15 a night. And I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to make some money, or I'm going to have to go back to America. Now, the logical decision from London would have been just go back to America, but I packed up my apartment in LA. I packed up my life. I'd moved to London,
Right.
So
you
the
could
last option I was
start
going
out
to do
over
was,
anywhere. Why go back where
I
you
was
just came from?
well, going back meant going back and living with my parents until I figure shit out, until I apply for a job and God knows what else. But like, honestly, if I shake my mind back, like, that was stressful. And so like, there was no way I was going back. I was like, I'm going to Israel. I don't know what I will do, but I'll live in a hostel. I'll work in a hostel, and like, I'll leave my
fuck it. You'll just figure it out
behind. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Good
But
for you.
it lit a fire under my ass. I spent 2 weeks in the hostel while everybody in the hostel was partying, drinking, smoking, out, doing whatever the hell they're doing. The hostel was 1 block off the beach in Tel Aviv, so really busy area. I'm sitting in the hostel every day, finalizing my program, making sure everything's perfect before launching it. And I was doing this all alone. I didn't have my business partner this time, and it took off, and it did so well. It put money in my pocket, allowed me to afford my life. And then I traveled for the next year and a half on the dime I was making from the program, continued to work and build shit out. And only about 5 months ago did I come back to LA and settle back down here after a year and a half of traveling, because your productivity may suffer a little bit while you're bouncing through country to country.
Sure. It's good to have a consistency in your life in order to get consistency with your work.
Yeah, I kind of like grounded myself,
Yeah. I noticed a lot of your stuff you film on Santa Monica, on that legendary Muscle Beach over there.
Yeah.
Was that part of the reason why you wanted to get settled back into LA, is because of your calisthenics career and being able to utilize that for videos and things of that nature?
Yes.
Because it's a great spot.
Financially speaking, if you have a remote job where you can live anywhere and work, like maybe you do. I know that you make your programs. I'm not sure what else you do, like I do.
Yeah, I could pretty much live anywhere. But well, now I'm stuck in Brooklyn. I just got a 30-year mortgage. I ain't going nowhere.
But what I'm trying to say is LA and New York make absolutely no sense when my whole family has migrated down to Florida. So I went to the University of Miami after growing up for 17 years in New Jersey. And then after I graduated, I moved out to LA, and I lived in LA for a year, went back to Miami for a year, came to LA for 3 years, traveled the world, went back to Miami for a few months. I love Miami. It's an amazing place, and it's
a great
close
city
to my family. And fortunately for me, I don't have to visit my family in New Jersey. Not the most appealing place to go visit home. So now I get to visit my family in Miami, which is great. But Miami has no state income tax.
Right.
LA
that's
like,
why
what,
a lot of people
10,
live in Florida.
Exactly. New York, 10, 11%. Delaware, nothing. So like, if you could live anywhere, financially speaking, it would make sense to live somewhere where you're going to retain 10% more of your money. Not to mention
you
the
got
cost
to
of
live in
living.
a city where you're happy and you like it. I could have more money if I lived in the middle of nowhere, but I love being in New York.
Exactly. So I think that's the most thing. Like, that's the most important thing. If you're the type of person that focuses, my lifestyle and where I live is more important than career or money, then like,
Sure.
you're going to be happier at the end of the day. So
Absolutely.
more power to us for going about that. But Miami is a city that I love, and it is a city where I could do what I do. So it's kind of comparable.
Right. They got
a
a great setup there on Lummis, on the beach over there, South Beach.
Oh yeah. The new park by my Equilibria.
It's almost as good as Santa Monica. Not quite though, right?
It's so Miami. It's just flashy and Art Deco-y rather than being like functional and like,
Do you run into a lot of other Instagrammers and social media influencers from the fitness world over on that beach? Because I know a lot of people make content over there. It's a popular spot.
We're talking about here in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the time. That's why I'm here. You asked why I'm here. I'm here because the West Coast of America, people, in my opinion, are more open-minded, more spiritual, and just like less bothered by like the shit in life that doesn't matter. And I like to compare that to what I grew up in New Jersey, and the way I grew up in, and imagining life in New York. And when I see relationships like my brother and his girlfriend and his fiance, for instance, my dad and my stepmom, or my dad and my mom back in the day, like none of these relationships were like mutually respectful. None of them, like, there was no good balance of energy in the home. It's just amazing to me that like where I came from, what I always expected life to be, and like what the possibilities are like now in a coast where people are really like,
laid back, as they say, right?
And I want to throw around hippie terms like free love and all those kind of things, but I don't want to give them perspective. Like, people here are just like, they're not scared to just be open about things.
Word. Yeah, New York is definitely a more conservative city, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And like I go to the Green down here, the bars, the famous bars in Santa Monica, like you mentioned. And I'll walk out there and I'll see some guys that like I haven't seen in like since last week, and they'll come up and they'll hug me. Mm-hmm. I'm not a hugger, but I can't be upset about it because it only comes out of a place of love. You're
still a neurotic Jew at heart, right?
You gotta
you're touching me.
Right, like too close. You're in my space. But I also understand that they're not trying to bother me. They're just trying to be loving, right? Mm-hmm. Now, where I come from, and when I first moved out here, the first time I got hugged, I was like, "The fuck off me, bro! I'm not gay. Yeah. I'm just being honest. I know these. I'm being politically very incorrect.
That's okay. I think political correctness is a little overrated, and it's gone amok. And I think most people feel that way, but everyone is so afraid of offending anyone that, look, I better not say anything.
Oh, when it comes to politics, that's why I love trolling people.
Yeah. Speaking of trolling, did you get a lot of trolls on social media?
No, actually, I don't, believe it or not. And I'm surprised because there's always people posting, fuck the haters, blah, blah, blah. Uh-huh. Like, where are my haters? Where are my haters at? Well, I'm not doing anything.
I saw a guy, I think, on your Instagram who left you kind of like an obnoxious comment the other day. And I was surprised because I saw he had, the infamous check mark next to his name. I'm like, who is this guy trolling at him? And I didn't know, maybe you guys had a private joke with each other or something.
Yeah. So the only people that will troll me are my friends.
Okay.
That obviously the social media world wouldn't know that we're friends beyond just social media.
Right.
But that was Jonah, and me and Jonah like to troll the shit out of each other back and forth, but nobody knows.
It got lost on me because I'm like, who the fuck is this guy hating on Adam? Like, he should know better. He's doing the same thing. He should have. But that's good to know. That was my next thought, is they must have a relationship, and this guy's just fucking around. But it's a dangerous thing.
I'll tell you the funny part about it. Mm-hmm. In this world where you have followers, you have people that love what you do.
They defend you, right?
They'll defend you. I love it.
Well, that's why I wouldn't troll a friend even as a joke, because I wouldn't want their followers to misunderstand and start attacking me.
Right. Well, I troll him too, but I don't troll him in a way to get defended on. It's just different. He chooses to come with the heat, but he's also like 21 years old. So.
You had made an Instagram post the other day that I liked about, you had a metaphor about horses wearing blinders when they run a race so they can't see the other horses, and that sort of was like, just run your own race, don't worry about what everyone else is doing. And I like that message a lot. But I also feel like it is kind of impossible not to want to be curious what your peers are up to. And I think there's a healthy competition that you can get, and it can bolster you when you are kind of, oh, what's this guy doing? Like you said, you have a lot of other people surrounding you in that area who are in the fitness world as well. And do you think that being around that is more of a blessing or more of a bad thing because you're constantly seeing everyone else and it's hard not to compare yourself to them? That was a long ramble.
You said it best. You definitely can't ignore it, especially in today's world, unless you can turn off social media, turn off your phone, and really just ignore it. And even if you're ignoring it, it's there, so it's still affecting you.
Yeah.
It is a good thing, and it is a bad thing. And it's like social media. It's like cell phones. People like to look at cell phones like they're terrible. Everybody sits at dinner, they're just on their cell phones. okay, I could see why that's bad because there's no personalized touch to it. But at the same time, how amazing is it to be on a device that allows you to connect with 1,000 of your friends and plan a party and set up plans for the weekend while you're also at dinner? How about multitasking?
Yeah.
So there's with these things, there's positives and negatives. And yeah, I mean,
Some people, like anything, some people use it for good, some people use it for not so good.
right. And I'll tell you, like, I don't know how many followers I have, like 180,000 or something like that. There's still guys with 1 million followers. There's still
Sure.
friends of mine with 300,000
No matter
followers.
how many you have, someone's going to have more than you. No matter how strong you are, someone's going to be stronger than you. You know, you'll never be number one. And even if you are, someone's going to knock you off of that top spot one of these days.
Exactly. And if you put yourself in the position to always have to feel that desire to compete, and I don't mean compete as in I want to be better. It's more like compete as in I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And when people start to like inner reflect, like I'm not good enough, look at this guy doing this, or I posted a video, it didn't get this engagement, this guy did. Like that's where it could really affect you. And that's where I say, wear your blinders, stay in your lane, like do this for you. Because if you
Yeah.
can get the message across in your brain that every one of these actions is for you, it's not because of the guy that you saw on Instagram. It's not because of this person you're trying to impress, because all of that is short-lived satisfaction. And in life, you'll learn the older you get and the more experiences you have that like those short-lived satisfactions, that they're not going to make you happier. And the minute that you start doing things, staying in your lane, doing things for yourself, that's where you start to find like that happiness. That
Well, but to play devil's advocate for a second, didn't you say your whole inspiration to start your online business was because you saw someone else doing it and you were like, whoa, this guy's fucking doing it. I'm better than him.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that was a little bit different. That was more like I saw an opportunity in business, and I
Yeah.
said, I can do that better.
He opened your eyes to something. But I think a lot of things in life, it's not always black and white. There can be two contradictory ideas that can both be true at the same time. It is good to focus on yourself, but it's also sometimes good to see what everyone else is doing too. It's a weird thing.
I couldn't agree more. I absolutely agree. I like to say the same thing when it comes to this whole movement, and I say movement because it's been popular recently, but mindfulness,
Uh huh.
right? Mindfulness has become a big topic everybody focuses on. You have to live in the moment. You have to live in the moment. Well, I have some people that can't live in the moment to save their lives, and they're the biggest balls of stress, and they're hard to be around.
Yeah.
Then I have friends that can only live in the moment, and it's so frustrating because they have no respect towards the fact that you might have had plans or done or this or that.
That's the problem
You
with
know.
LA. Everyone's flaky out there, right? Hard to lock
Exactly.
anybody down. Everybody talks, oh yeah, let's hang out. And it's like, you're not going to hang out.
Everybody's Kellogg's.
I think one of the
Like,
best things you can do to be successful, and I know you do this because we're here having this interview right now, is keep your word. And if you say you're going to do something, do it. And that's such a simple thing that people don't do, and it holds them back from succeeding no matter what they're going after. Whether it's, I mean, shit, talk about in the fitness industry, everyone wants to say, oh, I'm going to work on this. Oh, I'm going to learn this front lever. I'm going to master the planche. How long till I get my handstand? But people aren't actually training.
right.
It's so silly.
Yeah, I mean, those are the frustrations, but you get all different kinds of people.
Yeah,
know what?
you must get a lot of people messaging you, asking you questions, and they're questions that those people could very easily answer on their own just by Googling it. It's like, you want me to Google this for you? Like, what is so hard
I'm so
about
glad you
this?
said that. I'm so glad you said that. Like I literally said that to the other day. I said to the guy, I said, with as much time as you spent to write me this DM, you could have Googled it.
Yeah.
It was like, what's hypertrophy?
Well, people love to
Google
ask
it.
me. One of my most common responses when people email me is to tell them specifically, Google the phrase Al Kavadlo plus if they ask me about a handstand. People write to me, they say, did you ever do an article about handstands? And I'm like, well, yes, I did like 7. Google Al Kavadlo handstand. You'll find them all. And then people, they want you to explain your answer privately to them in a message. It's like, but here, just watch this video. I already made a video on that. I don't need to give you a private tutorial. Do you do online coaching one-on-one with people, or you just have the program? Because that's my go-to when people keep messaging me questions over and over. Is I'll politely respond a few times, and then after the third, fourth, fifth one, I say, well, I do online coaching. If you want to set up a session, it's $100 an hour, and maybe 1 out of 100 people actually books a session at that point. But the rest of them, thankfully, they stop fucking messaging me all the time.
But that's a successful marketing funnel, is to not only have programs but push people to eventually do this high price one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, well, I don't consider $100 a high price for an hour of my time. I consider it a bargain.
No, but like you should. I mean, I don't want to overstep a line, but if I were to give business advice in this scenario, it'd be more like charge $500 or $1,000 per month, because that 1 out of 100 or that 1 out of 1,000 people that'll buy it, then makes it worth it. You meet with them 4 or 5 times a month, and then if it's $1,000, meet with them 4 times a month. That's $250 per session, but it includes whatever customizations and this and that.
That's a great idea, and I like that you're telling me to charge more. That's very good advice. I think too many people charge too little for their time and devalue their own services. But the main reason I do it is I know they're not going to do it anyway, and I just want them to stop messaging me so many questions. I don't really want to do a lot of one-on-one online sessions. I prefer to train people in person, and I prefer to have them read my books or listen to my podcasts or watch my videos on YouTube. The online training one-on-one is a difficult way to do it. It's a tough medium as a trainer to just be sitting behind a screen when you can't really be hands-on with the person. For me, I'm so used to working hands-on.
I think it's different. There's personal training where you would train someone in person, and for every reason that you mentioned, that would be more successful. And then there's online coaching, which I think coaching and training are very different.
Well, that's how I like to do my online. I don't like watch someone while they work out for an hour. We'll have a talk. I like to refer to it as a consultation.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
So have you ever done any actual in-person personal training?
Yes, very, very limited. I've trained one person personally. I've trained one person twice.
Is this someone who contacted you after you had some success online?
Yeah, I had a little bit of success online. I got contacted by, sorry, the helicopter, one second. I got contacted by Jesse Carmichael of Maroon 5. He's the drummer.
That's a good client to have as your only personal training client.
Yeah, I mean, he hit me up and he just said like he was interested in learning some stuff, asked me if I could do it. I threw out a high-priced celebrity personal training number, which he accepted, which probably could have been double after I've learned the things that I've learned. I met him at his, beautiful home, and then trained him in some handstands and some personal training stuff. But to be honest with you, I felt pretty incompetent doing it.
It's a different thing.
Well, the reason I say that is because, all the credit to personal trainers that are good at what they do. Like, personal training and building programs are different. I've built an amazing program, and I think that it can get a lot of people results. But as for one-on-one personal training, motivating people, coming up with things on the spot, like, it's a skill.
Well, if you did it a lot, eventually you'd get better at it like anything else. But it doesn't seem like that's even relevant to what you're doing. And the industry has just changed so much. When I got started, the only option was personal training if you wanted to work in the fitness industry. There was no social media. There was no online coaching or programs like that. And after I'd been doing it for several years, then YouTube started to get a little bit of buzz, and I started to get involved with blogging. Like, blogging was real big before social media became the thing. People don't even have blogs anymore. They just have an Instagram page and a Facebook page. So it's interesting to me when I talk to people who came of age in the time when that was already a thing. Like you said, you're like, man, I feel old because when I started using Instagram, you couldn't post a minute-long video or an IGTV. So it's just so fascinating for me to get different people's perspectives. And I know trainers, like old schoolers, who turn their nose up and like, these guys never trained anybody. What the hell? They got all these followers. And I say to those guys, I'm like, you're a fucking dinosaur, man. This is the future. You should listen to these young people who are making a killing online, because what they're doing is where the industry is headed.
I mean, it's one of those amazingly positive things about social media, but at the same time, it is very negative, because you might have an athlete that is 10 times more knowledgeable about programming and about calisthenics or bodyweight or whatever it is than me. Could be 10 times more knowledgeable, but have 10 times less the followers and be seen as 10 times less credible of a source.
Yeah.
But he's had the real experience. What does my number of followers mean? It just means that I create engaging content. It doesn't mean that I know anything about fitness. It's just I'm a good blogger.
Mm-hmm. People like looking at you. You're handsome. You have a nice body. You got a good smile. You are personable on the camera, and those things are important.
It is important, but it also, like, I try to always put myself in my own place by saying, like, listen, like, there's always, if you look at Instagram, there's always someone to boost your ego. There's always someone to make you feel like you're doing something right, especially your followers.
Sure.
They're your followers. They like you. They're following you
It's
for
a strange
reason.
word, isn't it?
It is a strange word. It doesn't feel right to me. Like, I get DMs from people that ask me a question, and I give them an answer, and then their response back is, "Oh my God, I can't believe you responded to me. I'm actually talking to Adam Frater. Oh my God."
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like, dude, I'm a normal guy. Like, to me, I think it's ridiculous, but it is, I guess. What does it mean to be like, dare I say, celebrity, in the sense of the word? What does it mean to be a celebrity? It means that a lot of people know you.
Do people
And
stop you on
honest,
the street? Do you get recognized in person a lot?
It's funny. In LA, here and there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I traveled for the year and a half, I traveled all the time.
More not in
And
LA.
I maybe had like
Do you
more
think
not. I have the majority of my follower base here in LA, but for some reason, like in Israel, every other day I'd walk down the street, I'd be in the middle of like the shuk or the market, and I'd get stopped, random. I'd be in Italy, like I was in Spain with my dad and my stepmom. Like, I stopped by to visit them. They were on vacation. We got stopped on our bicycles by an Italian guy who didn't speak any English, like just like here and there. And to me, I think that's the coolest thing in the world.
I've traveled extensively, and I found a similar thing, that the farther I go, the more excited someone is if they recognize me. And maybe people know you live in LA, so if they see you in LA, you're like, yeah, that's Adam Frater. I know he lives in LA. I see his posts. He's right up the block. But if you're in another country, they're like, what the hell are you doing here in Tel Aviv? And then it's a bigger deal for them.
But I think a lot of that has to do with being American.
Absolutely.
Like, America,
people love
we have
Americans
the
wherever
American
you go.
dream, the allure of America. You might hate us, might hate Trump and our government, but you love Americans.
That's true.
So if you're an Israeli American, if you're a Chinese American, or if you're a Filipino American, like, let's take Manny Pacquiao. He's none of the above, but he gained his popularity, his notoriety in America, becoming the world champion. And he was so famous in America that when it came to the Philippines, where he was from, although he's just a professional fighter, he was the most popular person in the entire country by far. That he's a high politician. He's a professional musician. He can pick up absolutely anything, and people will love him for it. So, like, there's a lot of YouTubers that are just Chinese Americans that produce content, but then all of China just loves them because they're famous in America for it.
This is true.
I don't know. It's a weird thing.
What do you say when people ask you what you do for a living?
Oh, I hate that question.
Isn't the worst?
I just troll.
So just whatever you feel like in the moment, you just make up some shit?
Yeah, like if I meet I don't know, if I'm in a group of friends and I meet a girl, she says, "So what do you do?" I say, "Push-ups, sometimes handstands." She's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "And backflips. Sometimes some backflips." She's like, "I don't understand." I'm like, "That's it. There's nothing to understand. Push-ups, backflips, handstand." And I won't give the full answer until like I'm really pressed on. But that's just like my personality. I just like to joke around about a lot of things. I also forget to tell people I'm joking.
Well, hopefully they can figure it out if they're paying attention.
But yeah. Sometimes the wittier ones do. But yeah, no. I mean, if I tell people, I say that I have an online publishing company. I publish health and fitness programs online, and I'm currently turning it into a tech company as I build out my app and the other side of the business.
Very nice. See, I think it's so cool that you know how to work the back end of this stuff. Because I know the fitness end of it. I know how to create the content. But actually doing the behind the scenes work, the HTML, all of that, I don't even know what a lot of the terms are for it. I've always had to get other people involved to do that for me. So it's really a cool thing that you can kind of be a one-man show to a certain extent because you can do it all, right?
When I first started 2 years ago and I made the first program, I filmed it myself. I edited it myself. I figured out how to build a website. I chose Wix because Wix is consumer friendly. You don't need to know coding to build a site on Wix. I built a site on Wix. I learned how to do Facebook ads, and I ran ads, and I really was a one-man show. But the truth is, everything suffered because I did everything.
Right. You spread yourself too thin.
Right.
But ultimately it worked. I mean, you built a successful program.
I mean, ultimately it worked, but like despite certain things, like as you're building a business, the business has to be the main focus. So like content, for instance, is going to slip. So I think some of my content and programming could be better if I was only able to focus on content and
Interesting.
programming.
That must be why my content is so good, is what you're
There
saying,
you
right?
go. But yeah, but think about it. If you had to pick up doing all of your accounting, if you had to do your HTML, and you only have
Yeah.
so much energy, let alone
You're
time in the
100%
day,
right. I feel
you can
better
only
about
devote
having
it to so much.
outsourced that.
Exactly. So I don't think, yeah, I mean, I wish I had outsourced it sooner, and I'm starting to now. I have a really talented ads guy that's joined my team. You probably see my ads everywhere. That's his doing, not my own.
Well, you know,
And I'm starting to slowly build up a team.
one of the nice things, though, about doing it all yourself is you don't have to worry about somebody messing something up or doing something in a way that you don't like. And that's something I've encountered over the years where I get someone else to do a marketing campaign or do something, and then I see the ad, I'm like, oh no, they fucking got it all wrong. Have you ever had that happen?
That was kind of like the beginning of it, especially because my ads guy's Australian, so he spells everything with S's instead of C's, like just so odd things like that that like to me show less credibility in a sales, especially if you're selling to Americans. But yeah, like he, you know, like my new marketing approach is fuck bodybuilding. You shouldn't lift weights, calisthenics. I don't believe that,
Right.
but like it's really good like wow effect for marketing. So like I've had to slowly like through his advice because I wouldn't have done it on my own. I've had to scale back and accept like here's some hack methods of
Sure.
marketing, you know. But like I don't really like to hate on anything because I kind of believe in everything to
Yeah.
a certain degree.
Weight training's great and it works. It's just not your bag.
Right,
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
how I feel
just
about
think
it
that
too.
you can overdo with anything. Calisthenics is great, but you can overdo it. I'm not saying that calisthenics is healthy. It's going to come with the same issues as weightlifting could if you're doing 360s on the bar all day long. Like,
Right. Anything that's approached with a very stupid mindset is going to be dangerous. And right, you could lift weights and be very prudent about it and never go beyond, 70% of your one rep max and always employ strict form. And right, you'll never get hurt doing that stuff. And
exactly.
but no, I'm glad to
So
hear you say that because that's one of my biggest gripes about the modern fitness industry is that so many people do want to argue over the minutia. I always say that the common enemy that we have as fitness professionals is the obesity epidemic. It's the sedentary living. It's not this guy prefers kettlebells and that guy prefers pull-ups. It's like, who fucking cares? We're really on the same team.
I mean, that's why, like, I wish if my platform had a choice, I would rather see my platform not as a fitness page, but as more of like a lifestyle growth type of page.
Well, you could
I mean,
certainly still branch out into that, right? You must get a lot of
I do
people
that.
asking you questions that aren't workout questions, just life and diet and shit like that. No?
I do, especially when I post things like the post that you referred to, talking about staying in your lane, having the blinders. The more that I can put into my posts, there's a lot of athletes that just post the athletic stuff and then leave like a quote from a rap song or something.
Sure.
I used to do I used to do the
Sometimes
same
that
thing
works.
years ago. But I see each post as almost like clickbait. Like, you're going to click this, here's my chance to give you more. So sometimes I write a whole blurb that can, like, if somebody reads it, like, I know it can impact their life.
Yeah.
Because the first time I wrote something, I got a message from someone that, like, was so, like, from the heart, like, hey, I read your message about, like, how life's a roller coaster and you have to appreciate the downs so that you can appreciate the ups, or whatever it was at the time.
Absolutely.
And he said, like, I read this at the perfect time because I was going through some stuff and, like, this really changed everything. Thank you so much. And that's the truth. Like, you don't know if the message is strong, but if you even have one person that reads it at the right time that can make a difference to them, then it's worth you writing. So I try
Changing
to, like,
lives
sneak these little things in.
is an absolute honor and a blessing to be on the other side of a message like that. And it's great that you haven't lost an appreciation for it because I know you probably get a lot of them.
Well, if I'm being really transparent about it, I didn't get into this for that goal. The people that want to grow followings, that want to get into social media or want to get into fitness specifically to change lives, I have a lot of respect for them because they have the foundation right, at least at the beginning, right?
You
For
said right
me,
at the beginning this was your business, and I respect that. I like that you said that so transparently.
yeah, I mean, I wanted to make money. I wanted to do something I loved and to make money. And
But
then
right, you wanted to do both. I mean, you could have, like you said, you could have done lotion and had a successful business doing that. But obviously, you're more passionate about calisthenics than about lotion, right?
I'm not even a guy who uses lotions. I don't know how we got to that idea, by the way, but
Well, there you go. You
but
do
yeah, I'm
actually do
passionate about it.
calisthenics, though.
I do. But what happened by happen chance, just like as a result, it was just causality. People got helped.
Mm-hmm.
And when they got help, they told me that they were helped. And I said, I wasn't even trying to help you, but this feels pretty good.
Right on.
So then I kept doing it, and then people kept getting helped again and again and again. And it felt even better. And now, like, my goal and my purpose is more than just making money. I really do enjoy what I can give people. So I really will spend time trying to create messages that I do think can change people's lives.
And I think you are. And I think that people who get into the fitness industry who are purely motivated by money usually don't do very well. I think you have to care, and you have to be passionate, and you have to really be into it, and you have to really live it. Because it's a hard business. And like you said, it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy. And if it's just something that you're doing to make money, there's probably something that you could do that would make more money with that amount of time and effort if you don't give a shit about the actual specifics of how you're spending your time.
No, see, I wouldn't sacrifice time for money or happiness.
Exactly. I know people who are lawyers who make a lot of money, but they don't like what they do all fucking day. And I couldn't imagine living like that. I'll take my moderate income. I mean, I make enough. I bought a fucking house. I mean, it took me a lot of saving to get to that point.
Congrats, by the way.
Thanks. It's a big deal. I've had a lot of life changes this year. In the last year, my daughter was born. I got a house. I'll be 40 this summer. So it's like a lot of shit happening, coalescing in my life, and it's pretty cool and it's pretty satisfying. And it's a nice feeling that, like you said, that I've also been able to change some lives and inspire people along the way. And I'm excited to see you following that same path. And I look forward to maybe talking to you again in 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years and seeing where we're both at with this.
I appreciate that. I don't think we have to wait so long, but yeah.
No, I didn't mean that we couldn't have another conversation until that much time has passed. But just that time will pass. And I hope we stay in touch.
No, we absolutely will. I want to make sure I got you on all the social medias because I'm usually bad at that whole game. So I'm going to do that right now.
Good. I'm about to get a new follower. This is a very exciting time.
Am I not already following you?
I honestly don't know. You know, I follow you, but when you follow someone, I think the only way to know if they follow you is to unfollow them and then see if it says follow or follow back. So
and then they see that whole process go
right,
down.
And then they're like, "What? This person just followed me now? I thought they were already following me." So
I hate that.
The Insta world. But Adam, I'm going to wrap this thing up. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know you got other stuff you got to do. Is there anything that you want to leave the audience with? Any final thoughts, or have you already said everything you needed to?
There was one thing I wanted to get at. I don't remember at what point we were talking about, but we were talking about the feedback you get on Instagram or just in life. I think there's a lot of people in there's many different personas you could pursue in the fitness world. And when I first got into fitness, it was in the high school locker room. We were playing American football, and it was all, yeah, another rep, yeah, another rep. And everybody's yelling around you like, get this shit, fam, yeah. And it's really hype, really loud. And if there was a camera in your face, you turn to the camera with sweat, drool out of your mouth, yelling, yeah, motherfucker, and you'd be all intense. And that's what you would sell. Be like, no time for pussy shit. We build men here, like blah blah blah. Like it just that would be the vibe.
The pure jock mode.
That guy, you love, but you love to hate him. And there's a lot of influencers that I can think of that are people that have millions of followers that people look up to them, but they love to hate him. And that's just because like the 17-year-old mind is like, I want to be the big guy. For all of the wrong reasons. I remember when I was in college, I just wanted to get big so that like when I'm in the bar with all the other big dudes, like I'm not one of the little dudes. I can be more alpha.
Absolutely.
Right? So, like,
I went through that as a teenager, just wanting to get swole for sure.
Yeah.
Do people still say swole?
Like, yo.
That's what they said then. Okay.
Gonna come back. I prefer not to be the guy that you'd love to hate. I'd prefer to be like you are, like I am with my platform, with my message, with my personality, which is the guy that's like, it's hard to hate, right? I don't have much haters. I don't have many people troll on my posts because I don't think I put out enough stuff that's like so easy to just hate on. I like to just be friendly, loving, inspiring. And if you don't like that message, then and it's not intense enough for you, then go find one of the guys that's spitting in your face.
I agree with you, but I get people who write comments like, why is this fucking guy always smiling? I hate his smile. What, is he a creep or a pervert or something? So you can never please everybody.
You can never please everybody, but that's the type of person. If you're going to complain about a smile, that's the type of person that like I
Yeah.
definitely not need
Well,
to impress.
I always feel like people who leave comments like that, all they accomplish is they make themselves look like a fucking idiot. You're not hurting me with that comment.
No, first, of course. It's not, I'm smiling too much. Oh no, I need to really think of what I've done.
Right.
So I don't know. I think there's a lot of people, and hopefully people that are listening that have goals to be whatever they want to be, to grow, whether in social media or just in life. And I think that like in your relationships, in social media, in your personality, there's no need to be the asshole when like you can have a magnetic personality that's always uplifting and always happy and never in your face, intense and screw. You can be intense, you can be powerful, you just can be uplifting and friendly while you do it. And
I
you know,
agree.
I think that in today's world where you have this platform, like they tell superheroes, with great power comes great
It's a
responsibility.
great line.
You do have power. I have 180,000 people's eyes that may see something if I post it. I'm not going to post do steroids, do drugs. I'm going to post be friendly, be loving, be natural, be healthy. You know, the things that like should be spread in a message to that many people.
I love it. Well, keep keeping it positive, my friend. And until next time, hey, 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 we're working out.
You too, brother. It's good connecting with you.
Agreed. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes or wherever else you're listening from. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. For more information, visit my website, alkavadlo.com, and check out my sponsor, Zero Shoes. That's Zero, XEROSHOES/go/Al Kavadlo. They make the best minimalist sneakers